Welcome into KSL Sports Rewind, our live bracket reveal here on KSLSports.com. Thank you for joining us, everyone. My name is Dane Stewart. We've got exciting morning, 6A and 5A boys and girls state tournament brackets revealed, coming to you live, and I can't wait to dive into this. Before we do, we promised we'd have some live team reactions for you. We want to take a quick look in. We'll show you some of the programs that are joining us this morning live from Bountiful High School, live from Davis High School. These two teams waiting to see where their respective seed lines will be and what their potential paths to a state championship in 5A and 6A may look like. Want to thank Coach Cepena, Coach Sims for being online with us this morning and their programs. With that, let's dive right in. We know you're all waiting. Let's start first with the 5A girls bracket, and we'll show you where the teams got seeded and what those matchups will look like in 5A. We are going to start on the top left quadrant of the 5A girls bracket, and let's dive in. We'll reveal the number one overall seed in 5A is the West Panthers. How about West securing number one overall, undefeated on the season? Great year. You see Hunter and Taylorsville coming in at that 16-17 matchup in the first round. Meanwhile, Brighton securing the 8th seed to take on the winner of the 9-seeded Viewmont Vikings and the 24th-seeded Bonneville Lakers. Let's scroll down to the bottom left quadrant in the 5A girls bracket. We'll show you the number 4 seed coming in 5A. It is the Salem Hills Skyhawks. Great year for Salem Hills out of Region 7. Easton Springville in that first round game, the 13 and 20 seed, the winner to take on the Skyhawks. Meanwhile, Cedar Valley, a very good Aviator squad, securing the 5 seed. They'll take on the winner of the 12th seeded Out the Hawks and the 21st seeded Skyline Eagles. All right, we'll move over to the right side of the 5A girls bracket. We will go to the top right, and the number 2 overall seed in 5A will be the Wasatch Wasps coming in at number 2. They'll take on the winner of Maple Mountain and Roy in that 15-18 matchup, and then Timview coming in as the 7 seed in 5A to take on the winner of the 10th-seeded Jags of West Jordan and the 23rd-seeded Kearns Cougars. We'll move down to the final quadrant here in the 5A girls bracket, and the number 3 seed, how about the two-time defending state champions, Bountiful Redhawks? Figured that was going to be the case after all the others were revealed. Olympus and Northridge, your first-round game, the winner take on Bountiful, and Clearfield coming in as the 6th seed. A great year for the Falcons out of Region 5 to take on the winner of Woods Cross and Spanish Fork. All right, there's your 5A girls bracket. We will come back. We're going to talk about this. Is a very interesting bracket. We will come back, talk about this one after we reveal all the brackets, but we know you want to see the rest of them. So we will quickly move over to the 5A boys bracket, and we will show you how the 5A boys tournament looks to shape up. We will start again in the top left portion. The top seed in the 5A boys basketball state tournament is the Orem Tigers. I don't think there's a lot of surprise there. A statement win on Friday night, dominating Springville. They'll take on the winner of Maple Mountain and Cedar Valley in that 16-17 matchup. And how about Juan Diego coming in at the 8th seed, the Soaring Eagle, playing really good ball right now. They'll take on the winner of Brighton and Hunter, your first-round game in that 9-24 matchup. Really interesting number 1 quadrant there for the Tigers. Let's head down to the bottom part of the left side of this 5A boys bracket. We'll show you the number 4 overall seed in 5A as we're waiting for the reveal. Highland coming in at number 4. How about Bountiful securing the number 5 seed in 5A? As you have a look there, Gus Coach Cepena, his squad. Cypress coming in at 13, East at 20. And so the winner of Cypress East to take on Highland. Bountiful will take on the winner of Woods Cross and Northridge. Familiarity there for the Redhawks between that upcoming second round game for Bountiful. As again, Bountiful coming in at the 5 seed. Let's move over now to the right side of the 5A bracket. We'll show you what it looks like for the number 2 seed in 5A, being in that top right side of the bracket. They'll take the number 2 seed is the Olympus Titans, and they'll take on the winner of Wasatch and Salem Hills, a region matchup in that first round. And then how about Springville coming in at the 7 seed to take on the winner of Skyline and West. That Skyline team, they can be a tricky one. And that Springville team really loaded. Boy, that Olympus Springville game, should they win out, would be a very interesting quarterfinal. All right, we'll move down to the bottom right portion, our final quadrant to be revealed here in our 5A boys basketball bracket. And the number 3 seed in 5A will be the Timpview Thunderbirds. Strong year for Coach Izzy Ingles' squad to take on the winner of Kearns and Spanish Fork. And then Alta coming in at the 6th seed, taking on the winner of Viewmont and Bonneville out of the first round. There you have it. There is your 5A boys basketball state tournament bracket. We will come back, talk about this. A lot of interesting storylines in this one as well. But let's go ahead and move up to 6A. We'll dive in to the 6A girls bracket and show you what that will look like. Our top seed in the 6A girls bracket. We'll start on the top left portion of the bracket as soon as we have that come up here. 6A girls going to be structured very similar to 6A boys. 18 teams in it, 2 first-round games. And again, we'll start in that top left portion. The number 1 seed in the girls 6A state tournament will be Copper Hills. They were the preseason pick for 6A, and they secure that number 1 overall seed, taking on the winner of Harriman and American Fork. And you see Skyridge, Mountain Ridge in that 8-9 matchup. Boy, that is a doozy of an 8-9 matchup between the Falcons and the Sentinels. Let's move down to the bottom left portion of the 6A girls bracket. No first-round games in the bottom left quadrant. The 4 seed, the Fremont Silverwolves, the 13-seeded Weber Warriors. They'll play in the second-round game. And how about Bingham securing the 5 seed to take on a region rival Corner Canyon, coming in at the 12 seed here in 6A. We'll move across the bracket now, move to that top right portion. We'll show you the other first-round game to be played in 6A, that 15-18 matchup. To the winner of Layton PG to take on the Syracuse Titans. How about the year for Syracuse region champs? Great job from Coach Hamblin. That's a really good Titan squad. We saw them earlier this year. And then Lone Peak and Riverton, the 7-10 matchup. Wow, Lone Peak coming in at the 7 seed, lower than maybe would have expected. But there you have it. The Lone Peak Knights in at number 7, and they'll play Riverton. That's a scary Riverton team. Our final quadrant to be revealed. It's the 3 quadrant. In the bottom right portion of the bracket, no first-round games here. Your 3-14 matchup, Westlake and Farmington. Westlake getting the win and co-region championship with Lone Peak on Friday night. And then you see Davis and Lehigh, your other second-round matchup, the Darts and the Pioneers in that 6-11 matchup. All right, we will come back, talk about the 6A girls bracket, but there you have it. Seed lines and qualifications for the 6A girls tournament. One more bracket to be revealed here as we will move to the 6A boys bracket. Similar setup, 2 first-round games with 18 teams in the 6A boys classification. We'll start in the top left, reveal our top overall seed, and they will take on the winner of that Farmington Riverton in at 16 and 17. Harriman, your number 1 overall seed. Not a lot of shock there. Harriman was probably the best team all year long in 6A. You see Weber and Lehigh coming in at that 8-9 matchup, a very interesting first-round game there for the Warriors and the Pioneers. We'll move to the bottom left portion of this bracket. We'll show you the 4-seed quadrant. No first-round game here for any of these teams, as the 4th seed in 6A will be Corner Canyon. They'll take on Mountain Ridge, 2 teams out of Region 2 facing off in the second round. Meanwhile, Bingham, a very tough Bingham team, the 5 seed for the Miners to take on the 12-seeded Pleasant Grove Vikings. Boy, that PG team at 12, that feels like that will be an interesting one to watch. That Bingham team getting healthy again, PG, that can be a scary team. We'll move to the top right portion now of the 6A boys bracket. We'll show you the number 2 seed in 6A will be the Davis Darts. Davis coming in at number 2. How about that? Great year for the Darts. Co-region champs out of Region 1. You see Coach Sims, his squad excited there. They'll take on the winner of American Fork and Fremont. Good line there for the Davis Darts. And then you see Westlake and Copper Hills coming in at your 7 and 10 seed there in the second seeded quadrant of the 6A boys bracket. Let's move now to the bottom right. We'll show you the final seed lines to be determined here in 6A on the boys bracket. The 3 seed quadrant. That's tougher than you might think. Coming in at the 3rd seed in 6A, will be the Layton Lancers. We mentioned co-region champs with Davis. They'll take on the Syracuse Titans. That's a gritty Syracuse team. And then you see that 6-11 matchup, Lone Peak and Skyridge in a region battle. The Knights swept Skyridge this season and looking for their first state championship since 2018. There you have it, your 6A boys bracket now revealed here on KSLSports.com. All right, now that you know where all the teams have lined out, let's go back and talk through some of these brackets because there are some extremely interesting quadrants, matchups, early matchups in these tournaments. Let's go and let's start by diving into the 5A girls bracket. This was one that I didn't know how this was quite going to turn out. You kind of saw how the season played out and thought, man, this one could be very interesting by the time it's all said and done. And when you look at that 5A bracket, there is a lot of interesting matchups in 5A on the girls' side. And we can start let's start with trying to figure out where we want to go. Let's go with Salem Hill Cedar Valley. Let's go to that bottom left portion. The Cedar Valley team, we saw them really go toe-to-toe with Copper Hills. We now know Copper Hills, the top-ranked team in the 6A girls bracket. This Cedar Valley team, very, very talented when you look at this Aviator squad. It's been a great year. They've got Larson, who's been spectacular for them. They can get up and down the floor. They've got a lot of balance to them. This team for Cedar Valley, that's going to be a very, very difficult matchup. Should they both end up advancing to that quarterfinal game in what would be that 4 or 5 seed. Salem Hills had a great year this year. Ended up just shy of a region championship out of Region 7. But, man, I think these two styles, it will be really interesting to see which of those play out as this Cedar Valley team is extremely talented for the Aviators. Let's go back. How about Timpview and Wasatch, the potential to meet up for what would be a third time? Lena Balleen and company been really, really strong. Wasatch, though, their only loss in region came at the hands of Salem Hills. They got revenge on that. And then how about Bountiful coming in at the 3 seed? We mentioned the 2-time state champion Bountiful Redhawks, led by Taylor Harvey, Satuala and company. This is a really, really good Bountiful team. And look, that Olympus Northridge game, the pressure that Bountiful plays with would believe they would be probably a favorite in that matchup, but had the chance to go up against Clearfield again. That was the next best team in Region 5, being the Clearfield Falcons with Izzy Wyaskett and company. Bountiful swept them on the year. See if Bountiful can get some momentum building for another state tournament run. The mix of Satuala and Harvey, really good. And then you mix in Johnson. This is a very talented Bountiful group. They've got a lot of talent, a lot of depth scoring, and they pressure and they get after you defensively. Bountiful is going to be a very tough team, that number 3 seed. We didn't mention West, your top seed, undefeated, or I think they had one loss on the year. They might have been, I don't remember. I think they are undefeated. Sorry, there's a lot up here right now. West, fantastic year. The Falates, they got multiple players averaging double figures a game, couple averaging double-digit reboundings a game. One thing that we know, Solovi, they love to run, love to pressure, high-scoring offense. Watch out for West. We haven't talked about them much this year. It's a young group, but, boy, they got a lot of talent. Be very interesting. And Brighton, one of those teams maybe lying in the weeds. They could catch you. Sophie Nielsen and company. We've seen big games from Ruth Larson this season. That Brighton team could be scary. That could be an interesting 1-8 game. If you want to beat West, you're going to have to slow them down, figure out a way to keep them from getting up and down the floor. All right, there you go, your 5A girls bracket. A bunch of fun games coming up in this one. When you look at potential quarterfinal, even semifinal, and potential championship games, man, this one could go a lot of different ways. 5A is going to be an absolute blast on the girls' side. Let's move over to the 5A boys' side. And Orem coming in at number 1. I don't think there's any shock. I think a real statement win in the victory over Springville. I was wondering how they might deal with Jamin Sundrup and company, but that Orem team won that game handily. Juan Diego is a team that I think is a little challenging to deal with. They've got a great big, they've got bigs inside, not a big. They've got, and the thing that you got to love about the Soaring Eagles, they can shoot the ball extremely well as well. Did the game against Cypress, and they were just lighting it up from the outside. So they've got a great inside-outside aspect to their game. Luke Meyer, a double-digit or double-double, averages 18 points a game, 10 rebounds a game. Dane was talking with Coach Trost before that Cyprus game. He said he's got like over a 7-foot wingspan. Guy makes timely blocks. In fact, he had a big block against Kearns to help propel Juan Diego in a comeback win against the Cougars. But this Juan Diego team, with the length they have inside, and then you mix in a really tough matchup for any team. Their defense is really strong, but man, they share the basketball, and a really good team for Coach Trost. Coming in at an 8 seed, boy, be tough if you're Juan Diego. Have to face Orem potentially that early. But look, I mean, they've got a very good roster, and that would be a very intriguing game. That being said, Orem, the number 1 seed, I think most people have them as the best team in 5A all year long. How about that bottom left portion of the bracket? Highland and Bountiful, you're 4-5. Before we get too ahead of ourselves there, that East Cyprus matchup might be the first round game of the year in 5A. This Cyprus team, between the likes of Posita and Bayless, and then you mix in the young freshman Alan Hagi Aliagic, I believe. This Cyprus team, they can be scary, and when they're playing really well, they're getting up and down the floor. Man, this group, they can be a load to handle. But we've seen East. They've slowed up Alta. They've battled with Alta a couple times today. Coach Cummings has done a great job trying to change the culture of that program. It's going to be a tough game for East, but we've seen East have phenomenal games where they've played at a level we didn't quite expect this season. That first-round game, East Cyprus, could be a one to keep your eye on. The winner of that would have to take on Highland. Highland coming in at the 4 seed. You know, in 5A, there's Orem, and then there's like 5 or 6 teams that are just right behind that. And Highland's one of those with Soren Reese, Isaiah Drisdom. You look at Jack Anderton, Vi Higby inside. This is a very, very talented Highland team. A lot of depth for the Rams. Going to be a very, very interesting potential second-round game there should they get the Cyprus Pirates, if the Pirates can get that 3-ball shooting going. We talk about Bountiful having a chance to play a region team for the 3rd time in that. That would be this Bountiful team. I mean, you look at the talent that they have. You've got Bryson Heath, does such a great job. He's explosive. You've got great shooting. You've got Charlie Smith, who can do everything for Bountiful. You mix in the likes of an Emerson Geilman, a multi-sport athlete. He can give you points inside. This is a very, very talented Bountiful team. They can run it. They can operate out of a half court. And, man, they've been tested and proven through the season this year. 14-0 out of Region 5, 20-2 on the year. Coach Gus Sapena in his second year has things just rolling right now for Bountiful. This is going to be a very, very interesting game should they match up with Highland. You've got great guard play for both teams. You've got inside presence for both teams. Soren Reese, his length would be interesting to see how Bountiful tries to deal with that. Should that be the matchup? We'll see. There's a lot of basketball to be played. You look at the right side of this bracket, Olympus coming to the 2 seed. That is well earned. There's not a player who's more impactful in the state than Gavin Lowe. And I mean that with all the respect in the world to all of the talented players we have in this state. But Gavin Lowe, what he does for that team offensively, defensively, all for Olympus. And he's a bear to try to go up against. Offensively, he's got such a quick burst. He loves to share the basketball as well. And defensively, this guy probably creates, 4 or 5 extra possessions for Olympus on any given night. But if they've got to go up against a Springville team, should Springville get out of their second round game, that's going to be a very interesting roster matchup between the 2 and the 7 seed, with the likes of Jamin Sundrup inside and an Andrew Miller who can slash, and then you mix in a Swift Hall who can shoot the 3-ball. That Springville team, they are very, very complete and talented from every spot on the floor. That would be a very difficult matchup for Olympus, a rematch of what have been some magical state tournament games in the past between that pair in a potential 2-7 matchup should they both get there. Timpview Alta, look, Timpview, Dean Ruckert and company, they continue to win games. They lost both their region games to Orem. You know they'd love to get back and get a third opportunity. This Alta team, they dealt with injuries the back half of region play. They lost some region games that you might have thought they maybe should have won. If they're healthy, they are as good as anybody that they can. So from anywhere on the floor. I love the play of Matt McKay, a guy that plays a lot bigger than he is, very physical presence. A Jackson Langford, who's kind of a defensive lockdown kind of guy, really, and no give up on either of those two. They do so many things without just scoring. Having Papke be healthy will be important. Had some other injuries. If Alta could be healthy, this is a team that can put together a playoff run in the 5A boys state tournament. So that Timview Alta game would be extremely interesting. Former region rivals, and that could be a potential quarterfinal matchup on the boys side in 5A. A lot of these teams can make runs, folks. I mean, you look at this, you've got 6 or 7 teams that could very easily find their way to a state championship in the 5A boys bracket. This is going to be a very, very fun tournament in 5A. Let's move to 6A girls. We want to dive into this real quickly. We know a lot of 6A boys fans are waiting for us to get there. We're working through it. Let's start with our 6A girls bracket. Copper Hills, they were the preseason pick as the state favorite, or the favorite to be state champions in 2024 and 25. And they had a couple of early losses. They really played a challenging schedule. We saw this schedule early on from Coach Timpson, and it was like, man, they're going to test themselves. I think that's going to pay great dividends for this Copper Hills team. You look at a Skyly Barker, fantastic year she's had. Ayla Marston's done a great job shooting the 3 ball, adding that dynamic for this Copper Hills group. But they move the ball so well. They play really good defense. This is a really, really tough group for Copper Hills. Had a couple of games where stubbed their toe. I know games they'd like to have back, but they still found a way to win Region 2. They're your region champs. And this is a team that fell just shy last year, and that mountain isn't quite what it was. This is a team that is well positioned to make a run and capture that state championship this year if they can continue to play the right way. Skyly Barker has an opportunity to have just an unreal season, one that would be one of the better in Copper Hills program history. This program is going to be really, really tough to beat. We talked about Syracuse, region champions, and what a job Coach Hamlin has done. This team, I don't know if lying in the weeds is kind of the right term, but it feels like they haven't maybe gotten the talk that teams of this quality have had in the past. And you look at this group for Coach Hamlin. They've got guards that can score from the outside, they can penetrate, and then they do have some length inside on the post that can be a challenge for opposing teams to deal with. We saw Bingham go up with them, and it was Syracuse that was able to get out to an early lead. They held them off. This Syracuse team does have a lot of talent on it. They play really stifling defense as well. They love this game to be in the 40s, or they love their defense to keep teams down in the 40s. You make that happen, you're going to win a lot of basketball games, and Syracuse has. They've got players that are going to be all-state worthy this year. This is a really good team. And the offense, they don't rely on any 1 or 2 people. They've got players that can step up and make big plays for them, but they don't rely on that. So it's going to make this team very, very difficult to deal with when it's all said and done on the girls' side in 6A. As we look back at that bracket, we saw Westlake and Lone Peak. They're going to be in separate quadrants. That Lone Peak team, should they match up with Syracuse, would be a really interesting matchup with Kennedy Woolston and company. Westlake, a really strong game on Friday night. Westlake needed it to be able to get a co-region championship. The Thunder played phenomenal. It was a big night for Avery Thompson. She got things going early. Janice Sikander made big plays, even though she was saddled with a lot of foul trouble, but it was Janice Sikander ended up hitting the really clinching 3 with like 8 seconds left. The shot clock was ticking down to help elevate Westlake past Lone Peak, and the Thunder now coming up with a season sweep on Lone Peak. I don't remember the last time that's happened in 6A for a while, but this Lone Peak team, still very talented. They're very young. Kennedy Woolston, and you look at a Pope, you look at Charlie Warner. There's a lot of youth on this Lone Peak team. Nordstrom, but they're going to be ready to make a playoff push. But that Westlake team is a scary one. The way they play, Coach McFarland does a great job with her team. And then Bingham. Let's just give a quick shout out to Bingham. The Miners, Coach Hector Marquez in his first year, he's got them playing really well. It's a gritty group. They share the basketball really well. And this is going to be a very interesting Bingham team. That matchup against Corner Canyon, a familiar foe there. We haven't talked a lot about Fremont this year either. That Bingham-Fremont game could be a very interesting quarterfinal as well on the 6A girls side. All right, let's jump over to the 6A boys side real quickly. We'll dive into a couple of thoughts on the bracket on the 6A boys side. Harriman, the number 1 seed, I don't think that surprises a lot of people. that Lehigh-Weber game is interesting. Lehigh's had games where they look like a top 2 or 3 team in the state, and there have been games where they'd like to have that one back. We'll see what kind of game performance we get from Lehigh as this tournament goes on. It is a team that I think could body up a Harriman a little bit, but Cale Barclay has been spectacular this year for Harriman, can do it all. You have Stockton Blanchard, Mulford and company. This is a really, really good Harriman team. A lot of balance. They can beat you in different ways with the outside shot, the interior play as well. That Harriman team, not shocking, they're the number 1 seed. They've won a lot of close games too. This is a seasoned group for Coach Meekum. Going to be a tough out. You look in the bottom part of that bracket, Mountain Ridge. How about the upset last night on Friday night for Mountain Ridge? They defeated Copper Hills. That's a big win for the Sentinels. Puts them into playing Corner Canyon. Now, this Corner Canyon team, folks, with Noah Benninger and Brighton Valdez, that's been the 1-2 punch, but it was not that 1-2 punch that got the win against Bingham on Friday night in overtime. They had great support on that roster from Corner Canyon. The Chargers are going to need that support if they want to put together a run in this state tournament, not only against Mountain Ridge, but potentially against a Bingham or a PG. That game against Bingham went to OT, but it was that support that Corner Canyon got that was able to propel them to that overtime win. They're going to need that same kind of play for the Chargers to make a run. This Bingham team is the one that I think is probably, I don't know if sleeper is the right word, but I think this is a team that you got to be really careful of if you're going to walk in to play the Bingham Miners. Luke West played on Friday night. There's a blue collar group for Coach. Oh man, I can see his face now. I feel terrible. Kyle Stratman. My apologies. This is a very talented Bingham squad. They can beat you inside, very patient. They do a really great job of sharing the basketball, very unselfish team. This Bingham squad, really, really good. That PG team has some nice wins, too. It's not an easy win for Bingham. Miners better come ready to go against that PG side. As we look over on the right side, Davis, the number 2 seed. Great year for the Davis Darts. We've covered a lot of Davis this year, 9-1 in region. Able to come back and get the win at home against Layton to secure the co-region championship. They got off to a slow start on that night, but boy, once things opened up for Davis, it opened up. And this group for Coach Sims, Coleman Atwater, multi-year contributor, 22 points per game, 5 rebounds a game. But then it's after that, you just got so many guys that can beat you. You've got a JT Turley, a Bodie Sparrow, a Trayden Bessinger, a Bennett Wright, like Gordon Christian. There's just so many guys that can contribute for Davis. It's hard to identify and stop 1 or 2. And so that's what I think makes this Davis team really, really difficult to deal with. I think very deserving of the number 2 seed, excited for this group, well positioned to make a playoff run, and we'll see if they can make that happen here on the 6A side. Matchups in the 6A tournament. Talk about Layton coming in at the 3, potentially having to deal with Lone Peak, should Lone Peak be able to get past Skyridge, but even having to deal with Syracuse again. That Syracuse bunch, they're gritty, they're tough, physical. Layton better be ready for that. The outside game of Layton going to be so pivotal to their ability in the tournament. But that potential Layton and Lone Peak matchup it would be interesting. You look at the outside shooting of Layton with Romer and with Miller, others as well, Goddard, and this Layton team has a great outside presence. They can work it inside as well when they want to. But Lone Peak, they love to pressure you. And so for me, that has all the makings of what could be an epic quarterfinal game should these two teams end up playing each other in what would be that 3-6 matchup. We saw Lone Peak last night on Friday night against Westlake. They fell short in that one. But Crew Fotheringham, just a sophomore. This young man, he's got a lot of length to his game. He can shoot well from the outside. You see him with a little turnaround J there. Very versatile athlete for Coach Rob, who can still score. An Austin Simon, an Enoch Mitchell. There's a lot of talent for the Lone Peak offense. And really their pressure is what they love to use to help get up on teams and then extend those leads. This Lone Peak team had a very, very strong year in 6A, and that Lone Peak Layton matchup would be a good one. We did not talk about Westlake, the 7 seed, that Westlake Copper Hills game. That might be the second round game of the week in 6A. That Westlake team, boy, they are physical. But Copper Hills, they've got guys that can beat you at any given spot on the floor. You may not see on the roster that they've got a true big, but boy, they got bigs who can play like bigs in the Curtises. Isaiah Reiser 1,000-point club member, quickly rising up the school ranks in terms of scoring. He can hit that three ball. He can drive. He can create space all over the floor. Boston Lamborn shooting, I think, near 50% from long range this year for Copper Hills. I know there's a 3 or 4 game stretch where he was 50% from long range. So, you mix that up, and this team for Coach Alfrey can be really, really strong. But Isaiah Reiser, look, this team is going to go with Isaiah Reiser. They've got to find a way to free him up against a Westlake team that plays very in-your-face, tough, physical defense. Coach Carling's calling card. That will be a very, very fun game. Man, again, you look at 6A, I can make the same case. You can see 6, 7 teams. You can make a pretty easy case on making a run to a state tournament. The top of 6A, very, very even across the board. We will have playoff games for you all along the way, folks. Playoffs start on Tuesday. We've got girls action, Wednesday boys action, and then we'll continue through Thursday and Friday before we'll see you up on the hill at the Huntsman Center the following week for all of your quarters, semifinal, and state championship action. No one will have more playoff coverage and more live playoff coverage than right here on KSLSports.com. That's for our bracket reveal. Thank you to Bountiful. Thank you to Davis. Congratulations on great years for both the Redhawks and the Darts. And look forward to seeing both these two teams, the runs they put together in their respective classification. For Vince Francis, my name is Dane Stewart. Thanks for joining us, and join us for all of your playoff coverage the next 2 weeks right here on KSLSports.com.